All right, here we go. BG Knocc Out, welcome back to VladTV.
What's happening, man?
Hey, man, it's been a minute. One of my favorite regular guests is back again.
I appreciate you having me, man.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. You know, looks like you're doing well, always smiling, always got that good energy.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I got to. And, you know, I don't got nothing to be mad about. I'm sad about, really.
There you go. There you go. Well, the Kanye interview on Drink Champs just came out.
Yeah.
And that's causing lots of waves. And, you know, you and I were talking about this before the interview. The one thing you had an issue with is people like, I guess, Big Sean and John Legend essentially biting the hand that feeds them in a way.
Yeah, man, I thought that wasn't cool. You know what I mean? It's like us with Eazy. I'll just use me, for instance. You know, we didn't always see eye to eye with him. But we didn't make it public, you know what I'm saying? We didn't go on tape and say all these crazy things back and forth because friends fall out, brothers fall out, family members fall out, but the love remains, you know what I'm saying? So it's like if somebody is doing something that you're close to that you don't approve of, you don't go public with it. You know what I'm saying? Like you just don't do that. You call your man and, you know what I mean, and have a conversation, you know, as opposed to being pulled into the, you know, into the quagmire of BS. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think he feels that when he aligned himself with Trump and when he ran for president,
right, a
lot of people who were close to him weren't feeling it. And I mean, for example, I mean, Talib Kweli, we spoke about that in previous interviews. And I mean, Kanye didn't really put on Talib. Talib was already on in his own way, but they did collaborate and they did come up with some classics together.
Right.
But, you know, I think for certain people, sometimes they feel the bigger picture or the country as a whole sometimes is more important than this particular relationship.
Yeah, I understand. Like, I totally get it, but it's like, it's how you do it, man. Like, especially if you're close to a person. You know what I'm saying? You got their phone number. You call them and have that conversation. You don't make public statements about people that you mess with because, you know, you can't erase that. Once everybody heard it, that's out there forever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I understand. I definitely understand. I didn't agree with what Kanye did either. But I wasn't going to down him publicly because he's still somebody I look up to. You know what I'm saying? Musically, he's still an influence in my life. Like, I'm not going, you know what I'm saying? I don't got to agree with you for, you know, to still have love for you. You understand what I'm saying? And I just think it's about how they did it.
Well, you know, you touched on the Eazy-E thing.
Yeah.
So did you guys have serious disagreements at certain points?
It was petty stuff, bro. Like, I can't even really remember, bro. Like I told you before, Eazy was a person, it was hard to stay mad at him. You know what I mean? Because he just had an overwhelming personality. And like a lot of stuff was just us being young and not really knowing, you know what I mean? And sometimes you know, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed some days, like anybody. You know, so it was minor stuff. It wasn't nothing really big or major. But I'm just saying, just human behavior, that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah, I feel you, man. I feel you. I mean, we'll see what happens with Kanye. I've interviewed Kanye many years ago, even before VladTV, and I can tell you the Kanye back then was exactly the Kanye today.
Yeah.
Like, overly opinionated. He would say wild shit. Thought of himself above all others. Doesn't understand why everyone else doesn't see it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, and that was just one meeting that we had, one sit down interview, and we hung out a while with him and Common when they were working on their album in the studio. But I think to a certain degree, if you are actually friends with Kanye, I think you have to sort of accept that he's just going to fly off the handle every so often. And you have to decide whether or not that relationship is worth keeping or not, you know, because it's going to happen again.
He is who he is, man. And it's like, you got to accept him for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's pretty much it. I'm sure Jay, you know, shook his head a lot dealing with Kanye, like all the stunts he pulled in different situations. But it's like, that's still your partner, man. Like, come on, man. Like Kanye, he's just a wild card. And you just got to love him for who he is, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the guy that at the start of his tour goes on this big rant and then just quits his entire international tour, you know, right there that night. I mean, imagine there were still like 50 dates all over the world set up. Venues had booked, you know, had booked those dates. There was staff ready to work. Like literally this affects, people had bought tickets already.
Yeah,
like this is affecting tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people. And you go and have a hissy fit on stage and you literally just say, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard to deal with a person like that.
Yeah, I understand, but you got to understand, like, what's the background situation that nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what he was experiencing in his personal life that made him feel that way. You know what I mean? It's always something. Don't nobody just do things. You know what I mean? Unless they're mentally unstable or like, mentally challenged or some shit. But nobody just reacts and do things, crazy like that, bro. Unless it's something behind everything, Vlad, that we may not necessarily see.
Yeah, I mean, he's bipolar.
That's
what it is.
That could be.
He's bipolar.
I got anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all suffering from something.
Yeah, I mean, I have OCD, but at the end of the day, if you look at all the interviews we've ever had, and I've had rough days, along the way, just like everyone else. I've had problems with my family. I've had, health problems here and there. And, I mean, nothing serious, but I've had, operations and so forth. And it's like, at the end of the day, the show must go on. There's other people involved. There's people that took time out of their day. There's people that are depending on the check they're getting that particular day to pay their rent or whatever else. And it's like, all right, I got to humble myself and make sure that, just, swallow my spit and finish off the day. And then afterwards I could kind of, dwell in my feelings.
That's all understandable. But, you may be one of them people who can pull yourself together under those circumstances. Everybody don't have that, Vlad. You know what I mean? True. Everybody don't have certain skill sets, and it's just what it is.
It's just what it is. Well, some of the biggest news that just came out was Alpo got killed in Harlem.
Wow. Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. You know what I mean? Because of the situation, it's like, come on, 14 people. You admitted to killing 14 people. There's no, I'm sure they had kids and brothers and cousins and, you know what I mean? And people that still felt that. And now you walking around and you just like everything's supposed to be cool. I don't know what else he expected. I think he expected it.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is in Harlem where all the people he killed, or most of the people he killed, their families and friends are all there. All the people he robbed of cash or dope money, and also all the people he told on.
Yeah.
Are, the majority of them are right there. And he was actually in witness protection, I believe in Maine.
Yeah.
He decided to leave witness protection and go back to Harlem.
Yeah, that was
of all places. And it's interesting to me because, I had a conversation with him about a year ago about doing an interview, right? Okay. And we had a conversation. He was very, very polite, respectful dude. We talked about potentially doing something. We threw around, he asked me for, a dollar amount. I gave him a number. He said, okay, cool. I'll get back to you on it. A few months ago, I saw an interview that he did, a video where he was like kind of bashing me and saying that I offered him way too little and, he'd never do the interview, and which kind of surprised me because my thing was like, well, if the amount is too low, just come back and tell me the amount that you want.
There you go.
I mean, that's what I was waiting for. Like, all right, if that's not what you want, unless the number you're expecting was so astronomical that I'm not even close to that number and you somehow feel insulted. But at the end of the day, it's just business. Like,
right.
I told you something that might work financially for me. If you want more, we could discuss it. And if not, hey, it is what it is. Maybe at a later point, we could discuss it. So he was obviously a hothead to a certain degree, still. And he really, I've seen videos where he's in Harlem and everyone's taking pictures with him and he's like a little local celebrity and everything else like that. And that shit is addictive.
It is, bro. I mean, the story, like his background story is like, I listened to the whole thing where he told this one guy while he was still in jail, the entire thing, like, how he came to be who he was and where it landed him in prison, all the murders, he admitted to all of the shit. And I was like, on some level, dude was like extremely psychotic, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because how do you sleep at night with 14 bodies? Like, you know what I'm saying? Situations that you was that close to. You know what I'm saying? Like you smell, like he said, one dude, when they shot him in the back of the head, he shitted on himself and he was stanking up the car and all. I was just like, yo, I was like, my boy he was a Looney Tune. He was a lunatic, man, on a lot of levels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I interviewed Kevin Childs, who was one of the drug kingpins during that era.
Yeah.
And Alpo, I believe, testified against him
at
one point. And he compared Alpo to Ted Bundy. Alpo ended up pleading guilty to killing 14 people.
Right.
That's just who he admitted to.
Right.
You actually compared him to Ted Bundy.
And again, this is my understanding as I evolved and understood, because he's a real likable guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, and a lot of people who know Alpo, we know him from Harlem. The person that he turned out to be is not the person that I was friends with. You know what I'm saying? I understand how the game goes, you know, the give and take with that. But the person who he ultimately became when he went to DC was not the guy that was the beloved guy in Harlem.
Yeah,
you know,
I could see
people don't like to say stuff like that because Ted Bundy was this oddball, psychotic mass murderer. But I mean, essentially, that's what Alpo was as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, from the string of murders he had, is that he was very close. Yeah,
yeah, and he told on a bunch of people. Like I think Wayne Perry in DC. Like, you know, he's got a lot of, you know, people really hated him in DC.
Yeah,
of all the shit that he did over there. You know, but it's interesting to me how you really could be anywhere. Like you could be in Maine eating a lobster roll right now. You know, you could be in LA. No one really cares about you out there in terms of wanting to get you. And his thinking was, well, listen, everyone who I have beef with is like 60 years old. And a lot of them are dead or in prison forever. So, you know, most 60-year-olds are not going to go out and grab a gun and shoot somebody because when they get caught, they'll end up getting life in prison, you know, the rest of their life.
Yeah, they little homies will. They kids will. You know what I'm saying? It's still people younger than them that they raised, you know, who feel the same way because you affected their family. You affected their loved ones. You know what I mean? So you can't never underestimate that, man. Like never, ever, ever.
Does that really happen though to people's kids?
Absolutely, bro. Like I know a youngster who, when his father got killed, he was essentially a baby. Like he was like a little boy. You know what I mean? And the guys went to prison for it, came out 17, 18 years later. Now he's grown. Guess what he did? Picked them off one by one. Yeah. Really? Yeah. Found like at least two of them that I know. You know what I mean? Because they came back to the same situation. Like they was all from the same neighborhood. So they didn't really have nowhere to go after that many years. They came back to the same neighborhood. He's grown now. And he caught each of them and did his stuff, you know?
Oh, okay. Did he ultimately get caught or is he still?
He didn't never get caught, but he ended up getting killed like later.
Ah, okay. Well, here's the even crazier part about the Alpo situation. Okay. So I talked to someone who I'm pretty close to, who I've known for 20 years, who is very entrenched in Harlem.
Okay.
Very entrenched. Knew Alpo, knew the people around him, knew the family and everything else like that. And what he told me is that Alpo actually got killed over some girl that he was messing with recently.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know if it's true. I don't know whether this part is true. I'm not putting it out there like this is a fact.
Right.
But the story I heard was he got into it. You know, he was messing with some girl and the girl's boyfriend or husband or whatever. They had some level of confrontation or whatever else. And it escalated into that. Don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true. Like, I'm not going to put out there like this is a fact, but there are videos out there on the internet that kind of are saying a similar type of thing.
Okay.
But, you know, I mean, it's crazy. And, you know, I could see how, you know, if you're someone like an Alpo and someone steps to you, you're going to play the tough guy routine. You're not going to back down. You're going to insult the person. You're going to brag about how many bodies you got and how he could be the next one. And you know what I mean? That doesn't work with everybody.
No, I don't. Everybody don't give a damn about that, bro. Like, you got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna be about something, you got to do that. Like, everybody don't respect talking. You know, anybody can say a bunch of shit out their mouth, but you got to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, you know, Freeway Ricky is a regular on my show.
Yeah.
And what I've always found so interesting about him is that he's always said that whenever he's gotten into these level of confrontations with people, he'll always be the one to apologize. He'll always be the one to, you know, de-escalate the situation. And you know, especially being in prison, and you know what I mean, where, like, you know, a basketball game could lead to a murder.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So even before, you know, before he went to prison, when he got to prison, he's always been like it's not worth it. Like, escalating it, you know, even if someone ripped him off for some money, he'd always talk his guys down from trying to kill him and that type of thing. Cause it's like, all right, well, you may think that I, you know, whatever, I'm a coward or a punk or whatever, but I've just de-escalated the situation and we all go on with our lives. And, you know, the only thing left is it might be your opinion of me, which I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, that's smart. You know, Freeway, he was a businessman, first of all. So for him, you know, it wouldn't have been good for business to be having war with people when you got all these spots and all these places that are making money for you. If they start getting shot up, then you can't get that money. You understand what I'm saying? And then a lot of times you have to think, like, you'll be putting yourself in more trouble than the person you actually having a confrontation with by how you would react. So sometimes you got to like realize within yourself and say, damn, okay, if I escalate this situation, I do something to this person, I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So it's understandable to be that way. And it makes more sense, you know, especially the older you get. You know, when you're young, you kind of don't have control. Not too many youngsters have that control to, you know what I'm saying, like, back down from something or seemingly back down, but just don't want the extra, you know, the extra trouble, man. Like, it's just not worth it all the time. It's not.
Did you see how DJ Akademiks and Freddie Gibbs were going at it online?
Nah, I didn't even. I just heard about it. I didn't even see it.
Okay. I mean, basically, the two don't like each other.
Yeah.
Freddie Gibbs goes on Twitter and said, I could have been smoked Akademiks. His hoe gave me his home address months ago. The dudes in LA he was with last week was not going to protect him if I walked in that no jumper interview. I know all of them. God got bigger plans for me. When I get bored, I'm back in your ass. So Freddie Gibbs, who's a 39-year-old father of two,
right,
is going on social media and announcing that he could have murdered somebody in broad daylight with dozens of witnesses around. But he decided not to. And he's letting everyone know that.
I just think that's too much. You're talking too much, first of all. Like, because think about it. Just say somebody else who don't like Akademiks actually go and does something after you just said something like that out your mouth. Who the police gonna look at? You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes dudes' ego, they let their ego, like, you know, puff up too big, man, and they just get to running off at the mouth, man. Everything you don't have to speak on. You understand what I'm saying? Especially a dude like Akademiks. Like, dude, he's not gonna hurt nothing. He's not gonna kill nothing. He ain't gonna let nothing die. Why is he getting under your skin so much to where you got to make all these bold statements? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of foolish to me, if you ask me, man. Like, and I like Freddie Gibbs, bro. Like, but that was just really childish. You know what I mean? That was really, he needed to, like, I don't know, man. He shouldn't even entertain that, bro. Like, I wouldn't even entertain that. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
Well, I mean, putting out a death threat like that.
Yeah, it's foolish.
Well, and here's the thing, like, you're now putting Akademiks on high alert, right? And Akademiks isn't broke. Akademiks was a millionaire last I checked. And that buys a lot of security and a lot of guns and a lot of people who want to protect you. And at the end of the day, like, you know, like for example, not to say this is the same thing, but remember when 15 Game got into it?
Yeah.
Right? And 50 went on the radio and announced that Game is kicked out of G Unit. Game decides to get his people together and walk over to Hot 97 to, you know, confront or talk to 50 about it. 50 security started letting off shots.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of Game's people got shot in the leg. Another one, New Jersey Devil, who I was close with at the time, he got grazed. Like you're putting people on high alert that really don't need to be on high alert. You know, and at the end of the day, like, you know, look, I mean, let's just say Freddie decides to roll up on Akademiks at one point. Academic security turn around and just shoot him. Just goes, hey, listen, this guy, and he turns around and says, look, this guy, it was publicly threatening to kill my client. I'm not taking any chances. I didn't know he's a known gang member. Look at all the songs and the social media posts with his gang affiliation. My life was in danger. My client's life was in danger. I had to kill this man to protect my client. Case dismissed.
That can go either way. You know what I mean? Because Freddie got money too. But at the end of the day, Vlad, to me, it's like, dude, look at the space that both of you guys are in. Both of you guys are making good money, man. You know, understand what I'm saying? Like, why are y'all at odds with each other to this degree? To where you speaking about murder and all that? Like, to me, that's foolish, Vlad. I don't know, man. It just don't make sense. Like, it don't make sense to me to even entertain that, man, when your life is so good right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, Freddie has just now really got on after grinding for like over 10 years.
Absolutely.
Like, I remember interviewing him when he was signed to Jeezy, and I remember there was literally almost a decade where he was trying to figure out his place in the industry. And recently, in the past year or so, I feel like he got hot.
Right.
And people are fucking with him. Kevin Durant's having a birthday party for him, and you know, producers like Alchemist are doing projects with him, and he's getting all these features. It's like your life is good right now. What are you so angry about?
What are you so angry about? You know, sometimes it could be the weed, it could be the alcohol, and dudes be feeling themselves, you know what I mean, at certain moments. But, you know, I would just suggest that anybody out there that's, you know, have any kind of situation like that, just check yourself, man, before you go on a rant and start saying certain things out your mouth. Especially when it comes to crime, bro. Like, you're not supposed to be talking like that on the airwaves. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Look at the King Von situation.
Right.
Right? Two of those guys were beefing online. When they saw each other, King Von wanted to turn it into a fist fight. Quando Rondo guy wasn't trying to see that fist fight.
Yeah.
He pulled out a pistol and killed him. And I don't know what's going to happen. He might get off with self-defense, trying to protect his client, trying to protect his friend, whatever else. It's not a clear-cut situation either way.
Right.
Multiple people got killed that day.
Multiple people did?
Multiple. Yeah, this dude Slutty, one of King Von's people got killed. Track, Von's manager, got shot in the leg. You know, we did a whole interview about that. It was a mess. And I believe, what's his name? Lil Tim, who did the shooting, I believe that he got shitbagged, you know, in the process. Because police were there and started opening fire.
Okay.
Like, to me, once you start putting these types of words and energy out there, it's not just one-sided.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You're putting the other person on alert, and especially if that person has a certain level of fear, which every person should have when it comes to their life, they might be like, well, I got to do it to you first.
Yeah.
Right? That's my thinking with people. Like, okay, if I know that someone who really hates me, who really has been out there threatening me, like, I'm going to tell my security, like, yo, okay, if I got weapons on me, I'm going to be like, all right, I'm ready. Like, you know, and I might react first just because I don't want to be the one.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one on the ground.
Who gets, I don't want to be the one on the ground who gets caught. Like, yo, and people just tend to underestimate their opponents,
and that's the problem. That's the problem with humans, man. Like, you know, because you can come from all of this rah-rah shit, which is all gravy, but rah-rah people get killed all the time, bro. I know a bunch of them. You understand what I'm saying? So you never underestimate another man. You know what I mean? In Von's situation, they was young, bro. So they young. They wasn't, you know, they ain't had money that long. You know what I mean? They recently just got into the music industry, and usually that's the time when things like that happens. You know what I mean? Because you ain't been rich long enough to really remove yourself from where you really come from. You understand what I'm saying? So I can understand that, man. But I had a lot of love for that little kid. It was something about Von that I seen in myself and my homeboys, like when we was growing up. Like, he just had this thing about him that was kind of likable. He was really a likable, you know, a likable young dude. I just feel sorry that happened to him, bro. Like, for real.
Yeah, I mean, rest in peace. He was like the hottest, what I feel, gangster rapper at the time, like up and coming gangster rapper. He had the most energy out of anyone that was coming up, and he had a great trajectory ahead of him. He had kids. He had, I think, a kid or two on the way, who he never got to meet. You know, it's sad. It was a sad day for hip hop, just period. And you know, I don't, you know, I don't know, man. At 48, I don't just run my mouth about people. Like I think it out 2-3 steps ahead. Like, okay, if I say this, what's gonna happen next? And okay, am I prepared to deal with that? Okay, then what am I gonna have to do once that happens? And you know what I mean? And okay, during the process of doing that, you figured, let me just get off social media and go make a sandwich.
Like that's a lot of the problem too. You know, it's social media, because it's the same thing when we was talking about the Kanye situation. I didn't know. I seen Big Sean tweet something, right? And he was like, Kanye is on Drink Champs or whatever. He must have said something about me. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to reply. And then he just started replying, and that's all ego. You understand what I'm saying? Like, sometimes just let people say what they say, bro. If don't nobody physically touch you or run up on you, talk is cheap. You know what I mean? Yeah. People gonna say shit all the time, bro. Everybody ain't gonna like you. Everybody ain't gonna like what you have to say. It's like my Instagram, bro. You know, my Instagram got hacked or whatever.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And I'm thinking it's somebody that just didn't like me. You know what I'm saying? Working with some hacker people or something. They just didn't like me, and they hacked my shit. But I didn't make a rant about it. Like, I ain't go on fucking YouTube and, you know what I mean, and scream and pull my hair out. Like, you know, just certain situations it's out of your control. You know what I'm saying? Like, just let it be what it is.
Yeah, I mean, certain people aren't gonna like you, just like you don't like certain people.
There it is.
I don't like Trump. Never met him. Right. Never had a conversation with him. I don't like him. Right. I don't like what he stands for. I don't like what he says. I don't like how he looks. Like, you know, I
second that emotion.
Yeah, but and that's just how it goes. You know, it's like people complain.
You ain't gonna run up on him. You know what I mean?
I ain't gonna run up. Absolutely not. No, I've seen what happens.
To say, though. You ain't gonna make a bunch of videos and all this crazy shit that people do, man. Like, some of this shit be silly to me, bro. It's entertaining to a degree, but it's like, you know, when you talk about killing people and all that type of shit, you got to really kind of watch. You got to watch that, bro. Especially when you're in the public eye. You got to, like, that shit you got to tone down. It's not wise to be like that, man.
I agree. Boosie and Lil Nas X have been going at it.
I've been seeing that. It's been entertaining as shit.
It's been entertaining. The funny part to me was, well, Lil Nas X went on live and said that him and Boosie got a song together.
I saw that.
And Boosie lost it at that point.
Yeah.
And, you know, called him the F word and also told him to go kill himself and stuff like that. A couple of things I find interesting about this situation. Number one, no one canceled Boosie for nothing. You know?
Right. Boosie don't really need a lot of this shit. Boosie got a core fan base, bro, that ain't going nowhere. He don't need, you know, all this stuff is helping him, social media and things like that, but he don't necessarily need that shit, bro. He don't.
No, man. He got his own fan base. He does his own shows or his own festivals. You know, Boosie Bash, which is very successful, that he owns himself. Or if he gets booked, it's just him. He was on that tour, I think, with Jeezy and Gucci, and something happened, and you know, I think they kicked him off the tour or something like that. But it's whatever. Right. You know, that was just a couple of dates. That wasn't his core business.
Right.
He's not doing like Rolling Loud and these huge festivals, anyways. He's got his own, puts out his own music, got his own products. Like Boosie hustles more than anyone I know.
Boosie
like,
a co-hustler.
He really on it.
Absolutely. He ain't got to worry about it. But I understand his point too. You know what I mean? It's like, I think the dude said something about F your kids or something like that. Like, you know, that shit, like, come on, bro. Like, that's hard. That's a hard one to swallow when somebody speak on your children, bro. You know what I mean? So I understand where he's coming from, but I think Boosie entertaining that shit, you know, just for the entertainment purpose. I don't think he cared too much about it. I know he's very passionate and all that, but I don't think he gives a fuck like that.
Yeah, I mean, Lil Nas X was on the Breakfast Club and he said, you know, like, oh, what about the fest and the kids? He's like, well, fuck your kids.
Yeah. Damn.
Well,
bro.
I mean, it's an interesting statement, but you kind of have to take a step back, right? And say, well, if you're talking about a young gay man, he probably doesn't have plans to have children.
Probably.
Right? You know what I mean? Because two men can't produce a child unless they adopt.
Right.
Right? Or unless they do, you know, a surrogate or something like that. You know, most gay men don't have children. Although some do, but most do not. Mm-hmm. So I think that probably went into a statement like that, saying, well, I'm probably not going to have kids anyway, so fuck your kids.
Nah, bro, that was some hard shit to say, bro. Like, nah. You don't say no shit like that, bro. I think he was really trying to say what he was saying, bro. Like, I don't know, man. Kids are innocent, bro. What if it was his kids? Like, even if he adopted some, you know what I mean? Somebody's like, fuck your kids, fuck your adopted kids. Like, it's just certain shit you don't say. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. I don't agree with the statement. I'm just thinking from his point of view, you don't really appreciate kids until you have them. Before you have kids, you kind of look at it a little bit differently. Kids.
Like, it's this one guy that he does a lot of skits on YouTube, and he that's one of his things that he say, but he does it in a joking way. Like, you know what I mean? He don't really mean fuck his kids. He's making a joke out of it. You understand what I'm saying? Dude meant what he said. Like, he said that from a place, like from a hurt place or some shit. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I mean, that's their business, man. I don't really care too much, but I just know, I know how I would feel if somebody said that to me.
Well, I think the other interesting part in this whole situation is that I feel what Lil Nas is doing is really calculated.
Of course.
Because he's basically, you know, he knows how popular Boosie is. You know, I mean, it's obvious. When I do an interview, I mean, Boosie's numbers usually outshine everyone else's every year, you know, which is why he's a regular guest. And what he knows that in this environment, he knows the repercussions of being homophobic, and he knows that, you know, being gay is somewhat of a protected class and so forth. So he's sitting there and he's poking at Boosie and saying that he got a song with him, knowing that he doesn't. And he's poking at him. And then finally Boosie snaps and he says a homophobic slur. And then everyone gets mad at Boosie. And Lil Nas X like, nah. See, you're in trouble now. Like, you know, he's basically, see, that's kind of how I see it.
But that's not cool, though. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
it's not.
You don't have a carte blanche, bro, just because you homosexual to poke at people. And then when somebody make an angry statement back at you, and then all your people come, you know, and try to jump on that person, like, that's not cool, bro. That shit should be checked, too. They should be checking that type of shit, too. You know what I mean? Just because y'all gay, y'all don't have a right to just fuck with people. You know what I mean? Like, that shit ain't cool.
Yeah. I mean, knowing damn well he don't have a song with Boosie.
Exactly.
Putting that out there where I think, you know, a lot of people thought, oh, shit, they actually got a song together.
Nah, bro. I didn't believe that shit for 1 second.
Well, you didn't believe it, but I mean, shit. Eminem used to bash gay people. He ended up having a song with Elton John.
Exactly. I'm not saying that. Boosie a hustler, bro. If something makes sense, I'm sure he gon' line it up and do it. Right. But what I'm saying is, I just didn't believe that only because I already knew what was happening. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't believe that when I saw that shit. Like, nah.
Well, you know, recently Superman's son is depicted as bisexual. Did you see that?
That comic book shit?
Yeah, and as well as Robin, you know, Batman's sidekick, I guess, is bisexual as well. So now they're putting the whole bisexual thing or the gay thing in comic books, which is...
Well, they've been doing it with cartoons already, with SpongeBob and all that shit, so I ain't really...
Oh, yes, guess SpongeBob is gay, I guess?
Yeah, so I ain't really surprised. I mean, it's kind of fucked up for our generation because we grew up to these guys and they wasn't gay, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were really masculine characters, like, so it just kind of like, they like shitting on us, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I ain't really surprised. They've been putting subliminal messages in cartoons and shit forever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one way it's like, okay, you're sexualizing imaginary people. But then again, on the flip side, these same imaginary people also are depicted having heterosexual relationships as well. Like Superman, Lois Lane were like a couple, and
Yeah, so
if
it's
they had
like
a son, obviously they had sex, and like,
what it kind of seems like. It seems like a war against heterosexual people. Like that's kind of like how they making it, bro. Like it's like it's disgusting to them that we actually like what's natural to us. You feel what I'm saying? A man likes a woman. That's what it seems like, bro. On some level, I'm
not going to go that far.
On some level, bro, it kind of seemed that way to me.
I'm not going to go that far because at the end of the day, no one gets straight bashed.
Well, they've been doing it lately. That's the point. That's the point that I'm making.
I don't think so, because no one gets put down because they like the opposite sex. That's all. I mean,
but it's you can be real tactical. You can be real tactical with how you do things, Vlad, and that's what it seemed like they're doing. Like they're approaching it from a different angle. You understand what I'm saying? To where it don't really seem like that on the surface, but it's kind of like that's what it seemed like to me, bro. And I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Well, I don't know, man. I think it's really more of an acceptance thing. Basically them saying, listen, we want the same rights and the same respect.
They got that. They already got it. What's the fuss about now?
I don't think so. I think growing up as a gay kid, going through school, dealing with kids and everything is still very rough today, regardless of what's happening in cartoons or whatever else. I don't,
So is growing up poor, Vlad. So is a lot of shit.
So is growing up, yeah. So is growing up
it's a lot
poor.
of things, bro. Nobody's excluded from that. There's different classes of people and people with different types of behavior that grew up the same way. You know what I'm saying? What about them? You know what I'm saying? What about all of that? Nobody, like, growing up in school had it really good, bro, unless your parents were rich. Everybody got talked about. I didn't have a lot of shit as a kid. Like, my mother used to be able to afford us, like, 2 pairs of school clothes, bro, at the beginning of the school year. At the most. So after 2 days, we back to the shit we had last year. Do you understand what I'm saying? That was difficult too. You know what I mean? Not having the new name brand shoes that, that was popular at the time. It's a lot of shit. Like get over it, bro. Like it was gay dudes at my school as a kid. They still live in the same projects over there. They ain't get chased out and ran away. People accepted them after a while. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know what else they want, bro. Like, it just seemed like they're they be overdoing it a little bit. Like, they made great strides, bro. Like, we see it all in television now. You can't even turn on TV without seeing them integrated into television and things like that. And it's like, come on, man. Like, what else do y'all want? Y'all want to take over the world? Y'all want to run the shit now? Like, what the fuck? I don't know.
Well, what'd you think about the whole Dave Chappelle thing, about the backlash over his last special?
I think they're trying to make a backlash. I don't even think it was really a backlash. It's just some people couldn't accept what he said, and all he did was prove his point. Within that stand-up special he did, he just proved his point, bro. Like, if y'all can say shit, we can say shit. Like, everybody have an opinion, bro. You can't knock my opinion just because you gay and I'm heterosexual. Like, I can have an opinion about that without you trying to put me down, as long as I'm not, like, harming you people, running up on y'all, gay bashing you. Every time I see a gay person or trying to harm you, like, I can have an opinion, though. You can't tell me not to have an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really surprised me about that was when I watched it, what I felt was the whole point of the entire stand-up special was that this transgender person who he was cool with ended up killing herself at the end because of online bullying. And, trans people end up committing suicide at an extremely high rate compared to everyone else. Because it's a tough way to be, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta go out in the world every day, dressed like a woman, knowing everyone pretty much knows you're a man, and people are looking at you funny, and people are making comments and so forth. And here's the first time that by her inserting herself into that Twitter conversation, she probably got a lot more bashing than she was used to, and she ended up killing herself. And she had like a daughter or something. And it's like, to me, that's what I walked away with. Like, okay, I get it. Like, he's talking about how bad things get to the point where people end up killing themselves. I didn't see it as he's bashing transgender people or making fun of them or whatever else. I didn't see that. But then again, I'm not transgender, so I'm not going to be as sensitive to certain things that they will be. But I mean, I've hung out with Dave. Like, I've been a fan of his before the Chappelle show. I understand his comedy. I didn't see it as anything negative, but you know, it turned into kind of a thing.
Man,
like,
Dave is a comedian, bro, and you know, although you know he have social commentary in his acts, and although he have, what can I say, like he has like a moral to you know, to what he does. You know, he always leave you with something, you know what I'm saying, to think about. But at the end of the day, he's a comic, bro, and he's pretty much like, he's like the poets of, you know, the poets from back in the day, if you ask me, with his comedy, because his comedy is kind of poetical, you know what I'm saying? Because he's always touching on something, and the way he articulate the situations, to me, yo, it'd be like so smooth and so cold the way he do it, you know what I mean? And I just believe, like, although what you're saying is accurate too, I think what he was basically saying through the whole thing was like, look, if you guys can say things and have an opinion about things, so can I. You understand what I'm saying? And if you're going to cancel me for having an opinion, then so be it. You know what I mean? And it didn't work. It just didn't work. And I don't even think it's the whole gay community. I just think it's like, it's those particular people that, you know, who felt the way they felt. And that's probably why it's not really working. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, we touched on Kanye. In a song that got leaked, Kanye claimed he was a gangster disciple. He said on GD. Number one, have you been around gangster disciples?
Yes, I
Black
have.
disciples?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah,
because they're not really in LA, are they?
I mean, some may live in LA. I mean, they're not, there's no gangster disciple clique in LA or nothing like that, but it don't mean that people from Chicago don't live in Los Angeles. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
But they're mainly concentrated in Chicago and Milwaukee, Indiana, places like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew Kanye was from somewhere over there, bro. You have to be like, you have to be from something around there, bro. Like, I wasn't surprised to hear him say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it weird that a 40-something-year-old man suddenly starts claiming GD? You know,
yeah, but he didn't do it. It wasn't a negative. He didn't do it like in a negative way, Vlad, to me. You understand what I'm saying? It's one thing to get on there like how you would see like the banging on wax type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And you just on there going crazy. He just referenced it. And you could have gathered that from the things that he said before when he talks about Larry Hoover and these people.
Right.
You could have understood that from that, you know?
Right. And I think Freddie Gibbs went on Twitter and called Kanye GD Jakes.
That's dirty. See, that's what I'm saying, man. I don't know, bro. Like, Freddie liked that. Like, Freddie likes the controversy from what I see. Like, he kind of likes it. He get a rise out of it or something.
Yeah. I mean, listen, look, I'm sure the GDs love him. I mean, he tried to get Larry Hoover out.
Yeah.
He was the only person who actually did it. You know, I'm sure he grew up in that shit. It's not like anything's ever going to happen to Kanye. He's so well protected when he moves around. It's not like,
yeah,
you know.
And he's not disrespectful, bro. I'm sure it's like people on both sides that it's probably dudes. It's just like LA. There's Crips and Bloods who are family. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's rival gangs that are Crip on Crip rivals who are family, and they don't behave that way towards each other. Some of them do, you know what I mean? But they don't necessarily disrespect each other. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna try to go and ride on their own blood. You know what I mean? So it's like Kanye, he's pretty respectful about how he move, and people don't see it. You know, I don't see nobody seeing it no kind of like disrespectful way or anything.
Yeah, I feel you. And, you know, I just interviewed 600 Breezy. The interview's not out yet, but we talked about how in our previous interview, he talked about how he started out as GD and then he became a Black disciple.
Oh, wow.
Later on. And we talked about that whole situation. And I'm like, well, explain that. You know,
Right.
he goes, well, my father was a GD, right? And, you know, once I got into my own, this is the clique that I kind of, you know, felt comfortable around and so forth. And I'm like, well, you say like GDK in your songs and everything. Like,
yeah,
you know, did your dad have a problem with it? He was like, yeah, he did. Like, my dad had a big problem with it, but I had to kind of break it down and explain it to him. But yeah, you're right. So sometimes like literally father and son, like are opposite cliques. And, you know, for example, I interviewed Don Dirk, who's one of the co-founders of the Black Disciples.
Okay.
And we talked about, you know, I brought up the whole, you know, GD-BD war, and he got really upset to the point where he started crying. And he was like, there is no GD-BD war. Like, it was all one thing. It was the gangster, you know, the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. I may be saying it wrong, but it was like one thing, you know, with Larry Hoover and King David, and everyone was all together. He said that later on, you know, when the rappers got involved and social media got involved and everything, and, you know, people weren't, you know, like, that's when the whole GDK, BDK thing started becoming more popular. You know, rappers started having songs like, you know, BDK and so forth. And that really got away with. But when you go back to the prisons, a lot of times those guys are more united.
Mm.
You know, they're all from Chicago, so they all got to stick together. Yeah.
It's like Los Angeles, the same thing, bro. Like, people be on the street at war with each other. And then when you go to prison, the dynamic change. It become about race as opposed to gang on gang. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it's just sad, bro. Like, all of that shit, it's just unfortunate, bro. We have to grow up in these environments, man. And we take on these, you know, we take on these things like where we from, bro. And it's like, at the end of the day, where has any of that shit gotten any of us besides prison or dead? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just wish the youngsters, like, because a lot of the youngsters today, they don't necessarily have to involve themselves. It's like, they have a better way, because it's not the same as it used to be. It's not as rah-rah, you know what I'm saying? Especially in LA. I don't know. I can't speak on Chicago, but I'm just sad that we even involved in any of that shit still, to be real with you.
I had Charleston White on my show recently.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is something I didn't agree with, but he feels that gangs did more damage to the Black community than slavery.
Oh, wow. That's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous, bro. But I mean, gangs.
Let me just play you the clip
okay.
so you can see what I'm talking about. Hold on a second. I'm not going to say he did more damage than slavery.
Listen.
No, I'm not going to say that.
Listen,
I'm going to have to put my foot down on that one.
Slavery, they woke up every day to enslave us with hate in their hearts. What are gangs doing? They enslaved the community. At least they fed the slaves. They don't even feed their communities.
Right, but not every Black person's a gang member. At one point, every Black person in America, below the Mason-Dixon line, was a slave.
Every Black person have been oppressed by the Crips and the Bloods. Every Black person have had some type of oppressed, killing, murdered, been bullied by the Crips or the Bloods. I'm telling you that as a Black person. Tookie used to take the youth workers' snack lunches and smash the apples on their head. They started out bullying the community. They never stopped. I
don't know what community he live in, bro, but that's just absolutely not true, bro. It's absolutely not true. But maybe he live in a community. Maybe he come from a place where that's what he saw. I don't know. I've never seen that, Vlad. Like, and to compare that to slavery is like the most ridiculous statement you could say out your mouth, man. Like, slavery lasted for 400 years, bro. Gangs only been around for like 50. You know what I mean? At the most, 50 plus at the most. Like, how can you compare that? Now, are gangs negative on a lot of levels? Yes, they are. You know, because really ain't nothing came behind gangs but a bunch of destruction. Death, murder, prison. Ain't nothing good about that. I can agree. But to compare it to slavery is just outrageous, bro. Like, that's utterly ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Yeah, you know, it seems like he has a vendetta. Like, he has a vendetta with the Bloods and the Crips, bro. And it's like, that's how we feel. You know what I mean? I don't agree with it, but if that's how he feel, that's how he feel, man. I don't know.
Well, he used to be a Crip when he was locked up.
Okay.
You know, he said he's never been a Crip on the street. You know, he's never been a gang member on the street, but he said locked up, he affiliated himself with the Crips at one point. And, you know, I mean, look, he got into it with Mob James when Mob James went down to Texas.
Yeah, I saw that.
And, you know, and in my interview, he said he tried to get Mob James arrested. Like he tried to call law enforcement and say that, you know, because Mob, you know, James admitted to having a gun or whatever. He tried to get him busted for the gun. And they were like, we can't bust someone because they said something, you know, without any proof that it actually happened.
Right.
Like, it's not like he did anything with the gun. So, but I mean, listen, Charleston White is Charleston White. He has his opinions about stuff. I don't agree with everything he says. Some of the stuff he says, I think, is very, you know, very poignant.
You know what I think the problem is when most people hear him. He has a point, but it's the way he go about it, Vlad. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's the tactics ain't really. The tactics seem more damaging than helpful. The way he kind of speaks on it. You understand what I'm saying? Now, do he have a point? Yeah, Gangster, you know, for the most part, it's a lot of destruction that comes behind it, bro. You know what I mean? That's not good for nobody. The community, for themselves, nobody. You know, and that's a fair thing to say. But I don't know, he just goes about it the wrong way, I think. You know what I mean? And I think that's what most people have a problem with when he talks about it.
Well, Fetty Wap is currently sitting in jail. He's accused of distributing 100 kilos of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl. He got arrested in Rolling Loud. And what's crazy to me...
he was the plug.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what his involvement is. I don't know if he's just hemmed up with some shit that other people were doing or whatever else. I mean, you know how the feds are and the police are and so forth. But the first thing I thought when I heard, you know, about this headline was there was a video of a few years ago when Fetty was on fire. Like, you know, Trap Queen was out with a whole bunch of other songs that followed it. His album was huge. And he was throwing $2,000 off his balcony. You know, literally, he took $2,000, just tossing it out because he has so much money. And you fast forward to 2021, and I don't know whether it's true or not. I'm not saying that, but if what they're saying is true, it sounds like he's dabbling in certain things to try to maintain a lifestyle that he used to have.
Right.
And it's crazy to me that you go from throwing out $2,000, something I've never done.
Yeah.
No matter how much money I have, and I'm pretty sure I have more money than Fetty Wap. But like, I've never done anything just so frivolous because it's just stupid. Like, you know, it takes a long, you know, it's hard to earn money. Like, you know, even at whatever level you're at, it's hard to earn it. And if it's a little easier at that point, it's because of all the work you put in for the years previous to get to that point. And to just throw it out and then to get caught up in a drug case of this size is just mind-blowing to me. Like, yo, like, okay, like the money's not going to be as good as it was. All right, you don't have hit songs anymore. Okay, but you know, you're still performing at Rolling Loud. You still could do shows. You could still reinvent yourself and start you know, put out some hot shit. But it's crazy to me how people try to kind of skip the line and just do the shit they shouldn't be doing and then end up in the worst possible situation.
Yeah, I hope it's not true for his sake. And, you know, I know he got kids and all that, so. But it's like, damn, bro. Like, because, you know, you still Fetty Wap. You might not be the hottest rapper of today, but everybody still knows you, bro. You know what I mean? And for you to even, you know, God, like I said, we just speculating right now, but for you to even to involve yourself in anything like that is a little bit ridiculous, man. You know what I'm saying? Because all you have to do is just look at the people that came before us who dibbled and dabbled. Like we was just talking about Alpo and all these guys, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They did it at the highest level when it comes to young black men from the ghetto, you know what I mean? Everybody that I know, that I seen make it to Alpo's and them level down on the West Coast, didn't last that long. You know, everybody gets taken down at some point. If you don't walk away, some point it's going, you know, the hatchet is coming down, you know what I mean? And just wasn't a wise move if it's true, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even Alpo, the reports came in was that as he, you know, after he got shot and he was driving to the police station, he was throwing bags of what they're saying is heroin out the car.
Heard, bro.
Like, yo, like, are you really drug dealing again at 55 years old after doing like whatever 30 years in prison? Like, are you really drug dealing again? Like, yo, and it sounds like you're kind of low level drug dealing. It's not like he was throwing kilos out the car,
right?
You know,
he probably needed some money, man. I mean, you know, one thing about being from the ghetto, Vlad, one thing I could tell you is that when all else don't work out, we revert back a lot of times to the old shit, man. I'm just telling you the real. And it's a sad thing, but it is what it is, bro. And from the sounds of it, dude needed money because how was he going to survive in the world? Like being Alpo and then you got 14 murders, whether they let you out or not. Who was going to hire him?
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what was you going to do if you didn't start a business of some sort? I don't know what he could have done to maintain a living, man. I don't know.
I mean, can you imagine that job application? Do you have any felonies on your record?
Exactly. That's my whole
yes, I do. Oh, okay. What was the felony for?
Bro.
14 murders.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we'll get back to you.
Right.
We have your number. And have a nice day.
That was not gonna ever happen. That wasn't gonna work out at all.
Imagine trying to be someone's manager and discipline them for coming in late when they got 14 murders.
It's not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna work, man.
It's not gonna work. Well, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar are going to be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show.
That's an awesome thing. I can't wait to see it for sure.
Do you think Eazy-E's gonna get a shout out?
I would hope so. I mean, I would hope so, man. Like, it would be nice to hear that, man, because it's like, you know, that's one of my gripes with this whole music thing, bro, is that Eazy is just forgotten about, man, which is so fucking, like, disheartening to me. It's so disrespectful on so many levels. You know what I mean? It's like people just forgot about him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I would hope that they would shout him out. That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Dre dropped that Compton album.
Yeah.
He had like a little partial Eazy-E verse on there.
Yeah, I remember hearing it. Yeah.
And he played it. Have you actually heard that before he actually played it?
No, not before he played it. No, I didn't. He probably had some stuff from back in, when he was still around E. You know what I mean? I'm sure he had a bunch. He probably got all type of shit, bro. I'm sure.
Well, I mean, it was so quick though, which makes me think he probably doesn't have that much. It wasn't even a whole verse. It was like
unless E didn't let him take all of those, because I know they had, like I said, in that studio, in Audio Achievements, they had a big ass like a storage room, bro, like with all of those reel-to-reels. I'm talking about they went all the way up to the ceiling from the front of the room to the back. You know what I mean? So I'm sure it's a lot of stuff, unreleased stuff around. Now, who has it, I don't know, but I'm sure it's a lot.
Right, because I think you mentioned you have some songs with Eazy-E that never came out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, VladTV, since our last interview, did a docuseries called The Mysterious Death of Eazy-E.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I was in it. I was in the documentary.
Oh, you're in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't actually watch it, so excuse my ignorance here. Okay, how was it overall?
I mean, I didn't even watch the whole thing, bro, because it starts seeming redundant at a certain point. A lot of people, it was just mostly people who was around Eric and who was close to him kind of giving their opinion of what they think. And I think overall, it was closure for his daughter, you know what I'm saying? Because his daughter, who was the one, she just want to know. Like anybody, like I would want to know if he was my dad, you know what I mean? So I think it gave her closure, but I think kind of like it was TV, bro. Like, I don't know. TV got to always have something dramatic in there to kind of pull people in, and it forces you to have an opinion. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You would have to see it, Vlad, for yourself in order to, see what you think about it.
Well, I saw a few of the clips that were circulating, the promo clips. One of the clips was discussing whether Jerry Heller was stealing from Eazy.
Yeah.
Based on what Eazy was telling you, was that true or was it not true?
Well, Eazy, like I said, the day he came into the studio and we recording the song Dog Pound Killer, he was supposed to put a verse on there. He had 8 bars to put on that song. sometime throughout the course of the time he was in the studio, his lungs collapsed, and then I go sit in the hallway with him while he's wheezing. And he had a big manila envelope, like a huge manila envelope. And the guy, Donovan, who owned Audio Achievements, he came and sat on the other side of Eazy on the other side. And Eazy was showing him papers and different things. Like, it was stuff, it was above my understanding. Like, I couldn't read contracts and nothing like that. But he was showing him papers saying that. He was telling him, like, look at what Jerry's been doing. And now he's trying to sue me because I fired him. And just all of this stuff that they were talking about. And I was sitting right there. You know what I mean? So that was the way he felt. And that's what I heard him say. Now, whether there's documentation on it, I don't know. Because I couldn't even read that shit back then.
Okay, so Jerry was actually suing Eazy-E?
From what I heard.
Huh. Okay. Well, you know, I mean, at this point, Jerry's passed away as well. So, I mean, he obviously denied it while he was alive, but it just is what it is at this point. Well, the other part of the documentary, or the docuseries, was in this, one of Eazy-E's final interviews, he said the KKK had a hit on him. Did you catch that part?
No, I didn't.
Right. So according to him, the Ku Klux Klan and skinheads had put out a hit on him and Rodney King.
Wow. And
they wanted to start a race war. And he said, I was one person that people probably would care about if something were to happen to him. And they asked, the FBI warned him about him. He said no.
Wow.
So he felt like the Klan was out to kill him at the end. Did you catch any of that in terms of your relationship and conversations or whatever?
No, I think that was pretty much over with by the time I came around. Cause I know it was at one point when he used to ride around with a vest on, you know what I mean? Like, and I thought that was a result of the FBI thing, because, you know, the FBI was trying to censor him and different things like that. And kind of people know how the FBI kind of get down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they want to knock you down, they'll knock you down. You know what I mean? And I never knew about the KKK thing. That's a new one. Like, we never even had that conversation. Like, that's different.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's actual audio of him saying that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not video, but audio.
Like,
he was having an interview with some lady, and like I said, I've never even heard or seen this interview, but it was definitely his voice.
Okay.
Like, it was like, you know, Eazy when he's talking.
Right.
Very, very distinctive voice. And yeah, I mean, he just felt like, that they were out to get him and Rodney King. And
maybe because the KKK is the police and he had a problem with that. I mean, that's the only thing that I can, because it don't even make sense to me. Like, what this little guy from the hood is doing to the KKK. Like, I don't understand.
Well, I mean, remember he had dinner with the president.
Yeah. But most of them are KKK too, if you ask me. I mean, shit. I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. Listen, I mean, look. I mean, the one thing I can say as someone who went through this myself is that Eazy had a profound effect on, you know, suburban white kids like myself.
Okay.
Like myself. To be dead honest, without trying to be cool or whatever else. Like, I was, you know, I was going to high school in San Mateo, California, which is a very suburban area, you know, mostly white and Asian school.
Right.
And when Eazy-E came out with Eazy Does It, I was all in. Like, I was
I
like,
think kids in general, man, if you ask me.
Yeah. Like, it was like, I was like, yo, like, I was so, you know, like, into what he was doing, to the point where you fast forward, you know, whatever, 30 years later, this is what I do for a living.
Okay, so like, Vlad, so on some level, answer me this. Did you understand the music? Like, how did you relate to the music that he put out back then?
Well, I mean, I never grew up in the hood. I mean,
irregardless of that, but was it things that you experienced, like, to where on some level that you can relate to the things that he was talking about? Did you see porn at a young age?
Yeah, I saw porn at a young age.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. So it wasn't like it was some shit that just came out that nobody could fucking understand what he was talking about. You understand what I'm saying? I think it was just the way he came out and said it, because we haven't heard nothing up until that point like that.
Right. And what I'm saying is that he has such an influence on white kids,
Yeah.
you know, throughout the country that if you're a Klan member and you see your son rapping along and dressing like and you know and so forth, wearing lokes, you know, everyone was wearing lokes back then because of Eazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember in college, like, you know, I had a pair of lokes that I loved wearing, and it was kind of because of Eazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was a fashion icon in his own way. Like you can't say he wasn't.
Absolutely.
You cannot say he wasn't.
He was just dressing like how we dressed already. You understand?
Right,
Y'all
right.
probably didn't
Which
know
was-
that. Yeah.
No, we didn't know that because I'm not even from. I hadn't even gone to Southern California at that point. So the whole thing is, if you're a racist like that, if you're a skinhead or a Klansman, like seeing your kids or your nephews or the kids, you know, that go to your school emulating this black guy, you probably start to feel some type of way about it.
Yeah.
You know, you feel that it might be an influence that you don't like.
That brings perspective. Like, yeah, that could be real, but it just seems so outlandish to me. But you know,
Yeah.
but they are the KKK. I mean, they're not the most logical people, you know.
Right, exactly. Well, the big thing in that docuseries was that there was a doctor who claimed that Eazy-E gave 2 women HIV, both of which were his patients, and one of which is still his patient that he's been treating, who's, you know, still alive, but both of the women told him that they were infected because of because of Eazy-E.
Now, just saying that and that being true, because we never heard nothing like this. Like, if that was said, that would be the first time in history that anybody's ever even heard that.
Right.
And why they never try to sue his estate?
Well, that's a good point. That is a good point because that does sound like a viable lawsuit.
Absolutely.
You know, this man gave me HIV and I have to live with this for the rest of my life. So, you know, I deserve some compensation for that.
Absolutely. That's like attempted murder or some shit, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, but then it comes down to
knowledge if he knowingly did it.
If he knew, yeah, there you go. Like, did he know he had HIV? Was he told his HIV test is positive, and then he went along and just started, you know, having sex with women unprotected after that? There's that. But technically, you could sue anyone for anything, even if he didn't know. You could say, "Hey, he gave me HIV," whether he knew it or not. I got HIV because of this motherfucker, and you know, I'm going to have problems throughout the rest of my life. You know, but then again, you could also say that
they gave it to him.
Could be that. It could be that. They could have given it to him.
Nah, I don't know. That shit sound crazy, Vlad. Like, come on, man. Like, and then all these years, bro, it's been, Eazy died in 1995, bro. It's fucking almost 2022. Y'all ain't said nothing all these years at all. Like, that's strange. Sounds a bit strange, and it sounds a bit planned. I don't know, man. Like, you know, these documentaries, they be needing, like I say, like, when people do this shit, man, they be needing something to keep something going. And I don't know if that shit was planned, man, but it sounded like it to me, because we never heard no shit like that. And I knew people that we grew up in Compton together. It's certain females that I've been knowing my whole life, bro, that he's been dealing with. They never came out and said nothing. And I know because he was messing with them for too many years. They never came back with it. How does his wife don't have it and his new baby? Like, how does it skip them? That's a little strange too. Like,
not everyone, I mean, when you have HIV, not everyone you sleep with will catch it from you. That's just the reality of it.
I never knew that.
It doesn't spread. It's not 100%. You know what I'm saying? It's not, especially, especially depending on the type of sex you have. This is why it spreads faster in the gay community, because it's a lot easier to catch HIV by having anal sex than vaginal sex.
Wow. Okay.
You know, because of the tearing of the lining and the blood and everything else like that. So you're not 100% guaranteed. You know, like there is. I mean, I remember talking to a doctor about how there's these couples, right? And one of them will catch HIV, and the other one wants to catch it as well because they want to die with that person, and they'll continue to have sex with their husband or their wife, and they'll never catch it. This is an actual, it's an actual thing. This is an actual thing. Right?
Okay.
So what I'm saying is it's not 100%. And listen, who knows? And then you could also say that, listen, these women haven't come forward because they don't want to deal with the public scrutiny and so forth of telling the whole world they have HIV. They've quietly been keeping it to themselves, and they don't want to turn into a public figure, especially an HIV positive public figure. Because
that could be true, but it just seemed contrived if you ask me, bro, because it's like, why now then? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, why now? And then who is this doctor? Like, who is this doctor? Where did he? You know what I mean? Know. Like, I don't know, bro.
I mean, you're on the docu-series. You tell me. You know more about this.
I was in the very beginning, Vlad. So I don't even know all the people they interviewed or anything. You feel what I'm saying? I had a very little involvement. But what I'm saying is like, it just sounds crazy, bro. It sounds outlandish as hell. And Eazy had a lot of women, bro, and it should be way more than 2 people, if you ask me. You understand what I'm saying? If he had it for a certain amount of years, he having sex with unprotected sex with all these women that he's been dealing with that close for so long, like, it just don't make sense, bro. Like, I don't know. And it sound good, it sound good that these 2 women came out or whatever, or this doctor. They didn't show the ladies, huh? It's just a doctor with an opinion. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, man. I don't know. He could be KKK. How the fuck we know?
It was actually a black doctor.
It don't matter.
So, he's probably not KKK. Yeah. I'm just saying. I don't know too many black KKK members, but
I mean, I don't know no KKK. Hopefully, but
right. Me neither.
Yeah,
me neither. Yeah, and listen, I brought in JJ Fad. Did an interview with them, and they think that there is some level of conspiracy with Eazy's death.
Absolutely.
You think that. Bone Thugs and Harmony think that. So these are all people who really knew Eazy and was really around and were in the mix. So it's not like their opinions, could just be brushed off. I mean, it is what it is. But, I had DJ Yella on my show recently, and I asked him about that, and he goes, no matter how you feel, whether there was a conspiracy, whether there wasn't a conspiracy, it won't bring him back.
Yeah, that's the coldest part. That was very, very true. And, at the end of the day, we lost our friend and our homie, and it's like, I think God knows best, what I'm saying, about the whole situation. And God called you when he ready for you, man, and that's just what it is, and we just got to accept it,
Yeah.
But, for his daughter, that was her main thing, like, I'm sure all of his children want to know, and some of them kind of know, because they had a deposition with the lady who was his wife when he passed away. They had a deposition going on back and forth for like 2 years, with that, and certain things came out that they were privy to now that they didn't know, But I think we just need to let it rest. But I don't think we should let his name die. When in reference to hip hop and the mark he made in the music industry.
Well, the lady you talk about is Tamika Wright.
Yeah.
And, I interviewed Yella, and we talked about Tamika and how she got married to Eazy when he was still in the hospital. And there's always been some debate whether Eazy was actually fully conscious when this happened or not. And what Yella told me with real confidence was that, yes, Eazy actually was fully conscious when he married Tamika. He wasn't like, no one grabbed his hand and wrote a fake signature or whatever else. At the time, he was still lucid and he was still completely there. And, and Yella even went into detail because he said that, his partner was actually at the hospital every day with Eazy, and he actually saw it happen and everything else like that. So he was saying that it wasn't like she didn't just basically rob Eazy of his empire as he was dying. Eazy made the decision to give it to her. And Lil Eazy kind of said something somewhat similar because he said at the time there was really no one else that could really take it over, and that he trusted because his parents were too old and they didn't know anything about the business. So he felt like Tamika was the best choice.
But she wasn't. But I understand, if that's true, then, it is what it is. But she wasn't the best choice because his kids, they don't benefit from nothing that he's done, from none of the monies he made, the company, none of that. So she wasn't the best choice, but, it's his business. He did what he did. I just hate to have see my friend go like that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, I don't know. I feel for his children more than anything, bro. You know? Because they got the short end of the stick. They got to live with that. You know, your father is Eazy-E, majorly famous, rich guy, and y'all don't benefit at all. And it's not like y'all didn't know who y'all father was. Like, y'all know him. Especially the oldest kids, they had relationships with him. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's all they got. I had a famous father. He left a fortune, but we didn't get it. You know, that's fucked up, you know? Something is crazy. Something is crazy about that to me.
Okay, so what you're saying is in 2021, all his kids, aside from Tamika's child that they had together, don't financially benefit at all.
They don't
from
at all.
estate.
Not at all.
At all.
At all.
Huh.
At all. She tried to pacify them from what I heard with little things like she tried to buy him Toyotas and, you know, like just goofy little shit. You know, she tried to like buy them little things that she thought they would, I don't know. She probably thought they were cheap or something and just tried to give them some kind of little handout. But that's their shit, bro. Like that shit belongs to them. You know, and even if you took it over once they became grown, you should have did right by them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, but you know.
Well, I mean, when a famous rich person dies, there's usually
so
a
Vlad,
battle.
you being a rich person, let me ask you this: you have lawyers and things, right?
Yes.
Would your lawyer allow you as a rich man to go without having a will? Is that something that ain't that something that lawyers usually tell you that you should have in place just in case? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
from what I know,
depends. Well, lawyers are funny.
Lawyers are funny as shit because lawyers are all about money. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, when you're paying someone $500 an hour, you don't speak to them unless you absolutely have to.
Okay, but do you have a will? Is what I'm asking. That's an expensive
conversation. Do I have a will? No, actually, I don't.
Really?
I don't. Yeah,
why?
I actually don't have a will.
You don't think that's important?
Well, it's kind of a bigger conversation, and you and I will have that conversation offline.
Okay.
But to, you know, to clarify the situation a little bit, you know, what happens after I pass has already been worked out. So a will itself isn't exactly necessary for my plans, but essentially I have plans. To answer your question properly, I have plans in terms of what happens with my money after I'm gone.
Okay, well, that's sort of a will then, right?
Sort of a will,
right? It might not necessarily technically be that, but you have
it's sort of a will. So yeah, easy to not have, you know. But then again, a lot of times you don't think of wills when you're young. I mean, do you think that Eazy had any inkling?
Eazy had money for a long time, bro. Eazy had money since the 80s up until the mid 90s, like.
Yes,
and having somebody as smart as Jerry Heller as your manager, you understand what I'm saying? And the other friends that you have,
right?
It just in my mind, you know what I'm saying? And it's just my opinion. I would have thought that he had a will, bro. You understand? Like,
yeah,
it just makes sense to me.
He also wasn't planning on dying at 30.
He wasn't.
From a disease.
I don't think nobody plans on dying, bro.
No, from a disease, like that. You don't plan for shit like that. I don't think Eazy was like, all right, well, I'm out here fucking without condoms.
Even still, you're in the hospital, you're dying. You're in the hospital, you're dying, right? Why not make a will then? Because you don't know what's going to happen. But you're going to get married first.
At that point, that's when the will actually needs to.
Okay, to really, then, is what I'm trying to say. It's like, you know, so
I get your point. I get your point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I get your
fishy,
point.
Man. Something fishy about that whole situation.
Something fishy. I feel you. Well, you know, one of the things that Yella said was that he was the only member in NWA to actually go to Eazy's funeral.
He was. And I was there to witness that. That's absolutely true.
Yep,
a bunch of other celebrities, like I think Belle Biv DeVoe, all them people came. I seen like R&B singers and all type of people. But Yella, as far as NWA, yeah, he was the only one. It was other people that was on Ruthless that were there. But as far as NWA specifically, he was the only person there, yeah.
That's kind of weird.
That's weird and it's crazy. And it could be the area. I'm gonna give him an excuse to say because of where the funeral was, it wasn't the most ideal place to pop up and show up at, because it's in the gang territory, right?
Oh,
it was first AME church, and it's in the Rolling 20 Bloods. And they whole hood came to the funeral. Let me just tell you that. Like they was really respectful though. They were super respectful. They know Eazy was a Crip. They know probably most of the people who was gonna show up coming from his neighborhood, and his friends was gonna more likely be Crips. They were super duper respectful, bro. But I could see that deterring people coming into that area though. I could see that. So I'll give them that excuse at the most. You know what I mean? But yeah, they didn't come.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about what happened when, Dre and Cube and them were showing up to the Straight Outta Compton, movie sets.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from, obviously the Suge Knight situation where Terry gets killed and Bone gets run over.
Yeah.
Apparently, and I remember me and Yella talked about this early in the while they were making the film, like someone there was like a drive-by shooting or something like that happened, like near near where they were filming. So, yeah, I mean, Dre doesn't go hang out in Compton.
Nah, he not supposed to.
Yeah.
For what? The fuck you going to Compton for? It ain't
Yeah.
because most of their friends, bro, probably don't even live there no more, like from back in those days. It ain't no reason to be out there. You know what I mean? So, but I'll give them that, bro. I'll give them at the most. And they probably regret it up until this day. You know what I mean? Because the least you can do is see your friend off,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm sure they do regret it to this day.
Yeah.
I remember one of the things that Yella talked about was, when Dre left NWA, he actually invited Yella to go with him, and Yella just never really got back to him.
Yeah.
But in essence, he ended up staying with Eazy. But he didn't want to get involved in the beef to the point where he actually had to mix the real Compton City G's record.
He did the hook. He actually came up with the hook, the stomp him in his track. Yeah, that's all of his doing. Yeah.
Oh, he didn't say that part.
Yeah.
He didn't say that.
I was there. I saw him come up with it, so.
Right. And, but he said that he really, not that he regretted it, but he just didn't really want to be part of that record because he didn't want to be involved in dissing his homie who was Dr. Dre. He loved both of those guys. And
right.
in fact, he started,
I can
he
understand
started
that.
with Dre. Before Eazy came around, Dre was his day one guy. That's who he was in the World Class Wrecking Crew with, and that's who he produced with. And then Eazy came around later. So, but he said, he mixed the record, and I guess he also came up with the hook now that I hear about it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't trying to jump in and do a verse or get involved in it. He was just very kind of hands off with it.
That's Yella, man. Yella he's very non-controversial. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. You know what I mean? And I understand that. I understand that though. You still got love for a person. It's I don't know. I understand where you're coming from though.
Yeah.
For sure.
But then, in his book, which is something I never realized until I read the book and then we did the interview about it, Yella actually became homeless after Eazy-E died. And it was interesting because we got into the whole conversation, and usually is drugs, right?
Right.
or a gambling habit.
Right.
But with him, it wasn't any of that. It was he would get a check from Eazy and he would just ball out.
Yeah.
He would go buy a boat. He'd go buy a new house. He'd go buy a car, a brand new car. He'd buy his brother a car. He'd buy his mother something, and so forth. And then at one point, after Eazy passed, the checks stopped coming.
Yeah. And
he found himself literally homeless, sleeping on women's couches and so forth. And I remember the story he said, which is so poignant. He got in touch with Dre, a few years later when he was just really on his outs. And Dre's like, hey man, listen, come down. Let's hang out. Come down to the studio. I'll play you some stuff. We'll hang out, grab some food. And he's like, all right, well, I just need to get a car. I need someone to drive me down there. He goes, oh, it's like that? He goes, yeah, it is. And when he got there, and he's had, by that point in his life, he had bought 40 new cars.
Okay.
And he had no car at that point. And he had kids, right? Let's talk about that. And when he met with Dre was like, look, man, what's it going to take to fix you? What's the most important thing? He goes, well, I need a car. So Dre wrote him a check, and he went and bought like a Nissan Cube.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Something real cheap.
That's good. He got a car though. Shit. That's dope, bro. Like, damn.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. And he literally said he fell on his knees and he like cried and was like, yo, man, you're my savior. Thank you so much. And then a little bit later, he's like, hey, Yellow wanted to get back into DJing, but he didn't have equipment. So he went to Ice Cube and was like, hey, man, can you lend me some money so I could buy some DJ equipment? And Cube was like, okay, here you go. Here's a check. I don't want it back.
That's beautiful. I like that type of shit, man. That makes me feel good, man. Like, seriously. Because, that just goes to show them dudes, that love was still there. Like, you can fall out with people, man, but like, if you had real relationships, usually you can reconcile it. As long as nobody is dead, you know what I'm saying, or maimed or some shit, you can usually reconcile it. And it's just, that was really big of them to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I like that type of shit. I like hearing that.
Yeah, man, it was dope. Yellow ended up on the EBT cards. He ended up having his brother, had to show him how to buy stuff with EBT where you could get through the week, which type of items and everything. And this goes from having gold chains and, multiple houses and yachts and balling out to suddenly, life catches up to you. And it just goes to show, like, you got to know how to handle your money. You got to know how to budget. You got to think that, especially if you're in a certain type of business, like that money might not keep going. And listen, I remember when I first started making money in my late 20s, I went broke too. I bought a house and a Benz and, I had a lady that, and I was balling out, and then it all came crashing down, and I ended up having to sleep on couches, like.
Yeah, it happens, man. Like when you young, and you come into a lot of money, and then you didn't come from money, and you didn't have nobody to show you what to do with the money when you get it, and teach you that, this money can run out if you don't make it work for you. You know what I mean? So it's understandable. I hate to hear that happened to him, though. You know what I mean? But I know I balled out too when my checks was coming. Like, boy, I did way crazier shit. But yeah, I understand, man, and I just hate that happened. But I'm glad, Cube and them came through for him like they did, man. That's really like, it make me feel good to hear that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that mean that love was really genuine that they had. You know what I mean? Even despite them being away and separated and being in these two camps and they going at each other, it was still real love. And at the end of the day,
Yeah. And I remember he talked about how when they were getting ready to do the NWA movie, he was thinking, okay, this is about to be a real payday because obviously I'm my character is in it and everything. Right. And he said when he met up, I don't know if it was with Tamika or with one of her people, but they basically said, like, you're not going to get very much off this. You're going to get a very, And he was saying how, and what they said was like, they actually told him to his face that they don't really need him. So if he doesn't want to be part of it, it's whatever. Right. And he said the amount was so low, but he was in such dire straits money-wise.
He had to take
He had to take it. He said that if he was just a little bit better off, he would have just turned it down. But the money, and he wouldn't say how much it was. I think it was like, what almost sounds like maybe a few $1,000s. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, but essentially, he took it. And, and in the long run, life did turn around for him. I mean, the movie was so big that it created a lot of energy. That's when they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah. I'm sure that was because of the movie. I'm sure that was because of the movie. And, he started DJing more. He was DJing with Eazy's Hologram at one point.
Yeah, I was there. I was there when he did that, yeah.
Right. And I guess, like, they filmed Lil Eazy. For the movements and stuff,
Yep, I was there. Yeah, that was pretty dope.
Yeah. And he got back into DJing. He became very religious. He was, I think, he became a lot more Christian. I think he was born again. And like, You know, if you read his book, like God is like all throughout the book. So, you know, it seemed like he found a way to center himself and kind of accept his situation and move forward, as opposed to just being bitter about all the money he's splurged over the years.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really be mad about what you did. I mean, shit, you had the money, you spent it. That's kind of how that go, you know what I mean? But
Right.
I know that movie did a lot for a lot of us because, you know, all the music that was in there and all that stuff, you know, it kind of got resold. And I just noticed from my royalty checks, you know, they went back up, you know what I mean? As opposed to, you got to think, it's 27, 28 years later, music ain't gonna sell like it sold the first year or the second or the third year, you know what I mean? So the checks get smaller over time, but the movie did revamp everything and the checks, they went back up. So I'm sure that probably helped them too.
And since our last interview, AJ Johnson passed away.
Yeah, man.
You know, and, you know, he's tied into your whole story as well because he played Eazy-E in Real Compton City G's, as well as playing Eazy-E in part of the Dre Day video.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, that was the homie, and he was just a homie from Compton anyway. Like, he was a Compton Crip, and him and some of my homeboys actually were in like Youth Authority together back in the 80s and stuff like that. So it was a lot of love there, you know what I mean? Just sad to see him go so young, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. And we're not exactly sure what happened because I think his body was unidentified for like 2 weeks. Like, he was found at the back of some store or something, and he had bruises on him or whatever. I know he had a stroke. You know, when I interviewed him, he wasn't fully there. Like, you could tell that he was a bit off. You know, I'd have to repeat certain questions and so forth, which we ended up cutting out, you know, so he wouldn't look bad on camera. You know, but it's yeah, man, it was sad.
It's strange that you say that because when he first came home, it was some type of event in LA that I ended up going to, and I seen him, and he was like fresh out, and he didn't seem to me to be all there even then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seemed so different because he's always making jokes and talking shit. Usually, you know what I mean? Like the way he was before he went to prison, and that time he was just like staring like off into the distance, and just had this strange look in his eye to me, you know? And I just let it be what it was, but I did feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, there was the whole story that he told about the whole Compton City G's video. Because first he was in Dre Day playing Eazy-E.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then Eazy hired him to play the fake Eazy-E in the Compton City G's video. And then when Suge found out about it, he basically threatened him to not be in the music video. So he had to bail out on Eazy.
Yeah, I seen the interview, and what was strange to me about that is that, you know, he's AJ is Lil Ant from Palmer Block. He's a Crip, bro. Like, and to have Suge to be able to call dogs on you like that was kind of took me aback a little bit. Like, how can he make you do anything? You know what I mean? I don't know, but that was his situation.
Well, I mean, Suge was the boogeyman at that point.
Yeah, it don't matter, bro. Nobody care about, you know what I mean? Like, we don't cower from stuff like that, bro. Like, you know, coming up how we were, that shit didn't mean nothing to us. Like, you had to do what you was gonna do. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, that's you. I did a whole interview with him, and although he didn't really talk about the gang shit, he did not sound like he was very active.
He went to jail. He was active. I'm telling you, like, people that know him, you know, he may have changed his life. You know, some people, they get out of shit like way earlier in life. And you know what I'm saying? Like, his life did turn around because he started doing movies. He started doing stand-up. So yeah, he didn't have a reason to be around that shit no more. And I can understand that, but it's just, to me, it just didn't make sense. I don't know. That shit with being able to tell you anything. It didn't make sense to me.
Right. You know, and he talked about the whole situation where he saw like Suge and them like just beat the shit out of people. You know,
I saw it too.
And so forth.
I saw that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But oh well, you know, like,
yeah.
I saw him beat a dude up that I knew kind of well. Like, I was just pulling up. It was I think it was like the Marriott down by the LAX. And they used to have things in the ballroom back in the day, little industry things. And I had pulled up, and I just seen Suge and them beating a dude in the front. Like Suge and two other guys mollywopping this dude. And when I finally parked and got out and saw, I was like, he was a Pyru too. You know what I mean? It was one of their own homies, but I've seen them get active a little bit here and there.
Yeah, man. Listen, not everyone wants to continue beefing with people. Some people just feel like, you know something, I'll just bail out on this video and call it a day. And go on with my life and work on my movies. You know, go work on Friday. Go work on, you know, go work on Players Club or whatever else, man. And, you know, and I think the sad part about it, you know, and me and TK Kirkland talked about this, and TK had very strong opinions about this, is he felt embarrassed that AJ's family had to have a GoFundMe to pay for his funeral.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw all that. Yeah, that was a bit shocking. But again, you know, miss money management. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you don't do right by your funds, man, that type of shit happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I'm not going to have a GoFundMe. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% guaranteed. There will be no DJ Vlad GoFundMe, my parent, you know, my family or parents or whoever begging for money online. That's just not going to happen.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Yeah. BG Knocc Out, man. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Always a pleasure, man. You know, I love when we get together and do our thing. It's been a few months since our last time, man, but it sounds like you're doing well.
Yes, sir.
Wish you all the best until next time.
Likewise, brother. Peace.
Peace.